other things, recommended that the lower secondary, which is grades 7, 8, and 9, should now be domiciled in our secondary schools, that there will be no examinations in Standard 6, which shall ensure that we have now 100% transition from primary through to secondary school.
All right, so welcome back. That's President Uhuru Kenyatta on Friday when he announced that there will be no examinations for grade 6, and now the target is to have 100% transition. I want to begin with you, Senior Deputy Director at the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development. And so that's the plan, according to President Kenyatta. How prepared are we, and what steps are we looking at that we'll be putting in place for the next 3 years so that the current class of grade 3 will be in a position to transition to lower secondary by in 3 years' time?
Thank you very much. I think that was the big question that we needed to know. Where are we domiciling that level? Was it going to be in secondary, or was it going to be in primary? And now that the decision has been made, I think it's the preparation that we need to do towards that level. At the moment, we already have the curriculum for grades 4 to 6 already done. And it's in preparation so that as the years come by, we are able to send them to the schools early enough. Because we have now declared that we are going to have the grade 7 domiciled in secondary, there will definitely be a push towards ensuring that the available spaces are there for the learners, because you need the classrooms. We definitely are working with Teacher Service Commission as well. They've already been given some money to improve the number of teachers. As KICD, we are already training the teachers of secondary to be able to appreciate what they're expected to do. Actually, at the moment, we have the team sitting to do the curriculum for grade 7 to 9. And we are starting that preparation early so that within the next 3 years, as we say, the infrastructure is there, which is being handled by a different team. For us, the curriculum that is required and the preparation of teachers is in place.
So the training of secondary teachers has begun? Yeah,
we actually did it in June when we had half term. That's when we started, because what we do, we work with panels. And so at KICD, we have a panel for every learning area. So if it is a subject like maths, English, we have a panel of 20. And so we started by training them, just to bring them, to acclimatize them to what the new curriculum is about.
Dr. Wandia, is the CBC working? And if it's working, who is it working for? Is it the best way to teach our pupils in Kenya?
CBC is working for government. It's just not working for Kenyans. I don't think it will work for Kenyans in the long run, because the philosophy is a bit, it needed a bit of discussion, which the government did not involve us in discussing. And luckily, I have started looking at some of the documents that the ministry was using to make a decision on CBC. And actually, I'm quite shocked, but it also explains why we have this very American language of strands and grades and whatever. But one of my concerns about this transition also is that I think the teachers are going to get confused. You can train them as much, but if you have in the same school 2 different systems, how are teachers supposed to shift between I'm teaching 844, the last 844 that are transitioning out the system, but I also must teach this new system? It's mentally exhausting for the teachers, and I think there is an underestimation from the ministry about what it takes for us teachers mentally and intellectually to implement certain curricula. I think this is going to be abuse. It's going to stress teachers trying to figure out, when am I teaching 844, the ones who are leaving, and when am I teaching CBC? I think it's not right. But how else
would you do it, bearing in mind that the curriculum has to be implemented in a school? How do you implement it?
What do you mean, how do we implement it?
You're saying that there's difficulty in implementing 2 systems at the same time. Learners have to go to schools. How do you introduce a new curriculum?
You're asking me? This is KICD's question. Because here, listen, I am a teacher in a high school. I'm teaching 844s, the first Form 4, the Form 1s who have come from the old 844 system. Then I'm being told I also have to teach grade 7s who are also coming in the system. Now, For me, mentally, and this is what governments never think about. They never think about what does it mean for me as a human being to be able to teach. For me, mentally, it's very hard for me to shift between today I'm teaching this system, tomorrow I'm teaching the other system. The kids are different, the demands are different. You cannot exert that kind of demand on a human being. So unless they're bringing in completely new teachers into the high schools, to teach only the CBC and then other teachers to teach 844 only, you're going to have confused and stressed teachers who will be finding it very hard to keep shifting between two systems in the same school.
Jacqueline, how do you respond to that? The teachers, the mental exhaustion of having to balance between both systems. How do you respond to that?
I don't want to think about it that way because I think we also underestimate teachers. I do agree that teachers are on different fronts. It's natural in life that in any profession you are, you can never be on the same level. So we must appreciate that we actually have teachers who are very good at what they do. Now, what do I need as a teacher when I'm going to class? I have a syllabus or a design in the new case. I prepare my schemes of work. The schemes of work are based on either the design or the syllabus in the old curriculum that is going on. What do I do then? I make my lesson plan. And that is what I go to class in. And so if I am a teacher, and we have gone to class ourselves, remember that we are actually teachers trained in the old system. And what we are simply saying is that what we are varying is a teacher being able to actually activate what we were trained to do. We were trained on learner-centered methodology and teacher-centered methodology. But as we went into the field, what was most convenient was the teacher-centered, which is the continued telling. Now, the child of today is different from the child I taught before. And so the teachers must learn to shift so that they can be able to embrace the learner. Because ultimately, when I go to teach, it's not for my comfort. It's to ensure that the learner has achieved the outcomes that I want them to achieve. So it is in my best interest to open up my mind, however late it is in my age, to be able to accomplish why I'm in that classroom.
Speaker, why is education in Kenya so political? Something as simple as giving Kenyans accessible quality education so difficult. Why is it so political?
It's because we decided as parents to make it political, which was very wrong. I've always said that the biggest time bomb we gave ourselves in this country in 20 years was to joke with our education. Because you find that today, why you have a doctor who will Google, we joked with education, and that's why I will support them 100%, that we must go back to our days. When they were finishing the CPE thing, we had those who were entering in standard the 844. Didn't we move? And remember Moi's day. Moi's day was not like now, where Kenyans always say we have to do public participation. Even in the lives of our own, we think of public participation, forgetting it is our lives that takes us to the next. And that's where people find me, okay, maybe Elachi is a bit arrogant. No. It is because we are joking with the country. That is why your accountants today will deal with things the way they're dealing. That is why Kenya is going where it is, because we messed with education. So for me, a teacher, if you feel you cannot, there are many Kenyans who want jobs. If you feel it is tough for you to move from this to this, it is the best to go to your employer and just say, look, for me, this one, I have... let me leave to others. But let us go back and rethink a system that will help Kenya to come back to where we were, the days we were taught in school, and the days you would sit down. Today you sit down with a child, he's looking for a job or she's looking for a job. On that panel, just the spellings alone, you are wondering now, how am I going to employ this one? And those are the things we are crying as parents. We are saying, look, let us not politicize. If there are issues to help them to improve in the system they are bringing, let us sit and help them to improve for the sake of the country, of our children, and the generations that will take over this country.
I'm sorry, but
Dr. Wandia does not agree
I
with
don't
that.
agree. First of all, we are assuming that the education system has always been good. It hasn't. Since Lord Delamere, this country has been using the interests of the rich to decide what is taught in the classroom. And that has happened since the the early 1900s. So we should not talk about this golden era when education was all that. Those were the people who were educated by the missionaries, and we are still suffering. In our politics, you can see we are suffering because the current political class doesn't have the interests of Kenyans at heart.
So, Dr.
But let me just say, I think we are making a mistake to forget the humanity of teachers. We cannot, honestly, we cannot mentally take care of two systems in the same head and give the same education and commitment to both children. I think we are being too bureaucratic, and we are not being human enough to understand what it is like to teach.
Has it been done before?
To teach, let me tell you what it means to teach. Let me tell you what it means to teach.
She just gave the example.
Let me finish.
Just a moment, let her finish.
Let me finish what it means to teach. I have to read. I have to read in the evening. I have to look at what I did yesterday. I have to think of each of the children. What are the challenges they are facing? And then I have to think about how is the next class going to take care of Mora, of Atieno, of Onyango. How do I take care of them in the class based on the content that I am preparing?
Okay.
Now imagine doing that twice in two different systems. It is mentally taxing, and maybe you people, you politicians, you just do things off the drop of the hat. As teachers, we are not like that. We actually think. And if you put these two systems for teachers to think, we are going to get mentally stressed, and we're going to sue KICD for making us stressed and get overworked. And even the teachers are already feeling so disempowered. So please take us teachers as human beings.
Okay.
We cannot do what you're telling us to do and remain human. And also take care of our own families, because we also have a life.
Let me just say this.
Just a moment.
Let me say this.
Allow me not to allow you.
Before Malim comes in.
I'll give her a chance so that she can give us
let me say this.
Okay, you insist.
I've been a teacher at Makini. Yes. And I taught the middle class.
Makini.
At least you're teaching university students who we go. Where a child at that time, when you look at their recognition and how they move and how they talk to you, they need a lot of attention. Yes, Mary Okello gave me that opportunity, and I always thank God because they taught me. Right now my students are in campus, I think, and most of them will tell you what type of a teacher I was. So it is not that we have never been. We have been there. All I'm saying, if teachers will start complaining, what about the students? Who are the ones who are supposed now to take this in? That
right.
I am moving from 844 and I'm moving to this. So you see, that's why I'm saying, if we don't sit down and reorganize ourselves and accept that yes, we need a new curriculum, just the way the 844 came in, and for those who went in first, how did we go through it?
Okay.
Is a question we need to ask ourselves. And that is what I will beg the teachers. Yes, you'll be stressed, but I am believing also we have new teachers who have been trained, who will be coming in slowly by slowly to pick the new classes, while the old ones, but then ask yourself, so when this class of 844 ends, are you saying this teacher is going home?
Okay.
Because when we put it that way, it's like we are saying this teacher after 844 disappears has to leave a job.
Allow us to allow Cynthia coming on this. Where is your voice in all this? The teachers are complaining that it's difficult for them. Of course, it's humanly understandable. So, and the government and the institute has to come in and see how that is done. But as you sit there,
my voice right now is I'm really appreciating the teacher's voice. And these are some of the concerns that the Kenya National Union of Teachers was trying to bring at the third conference that just expired last week. We saw that the Secretary General was not allowed to access the venue, and of course right now he's already been deregistered. He's no longer a teacher and cannot transact on behalf of NAT. I don't know, maybe my good doctor here will take up. Yeah, that's the position right now. But
he's the official representing NAT.
he is still officially representing that, but
the law does not allow.
How do you?
You're in Parliament.
You're not a teacher.
How will we be?
How do you represent teachers if you're not a teacher?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's another
but
subject.
you're in Parliament.
But basically, to appreciate what the teachers are saying and to appreciate what KICD is doing, and to now stand with the president. He has said, let's face these challenges and let's fix them. This is a challenge. She's talking about working with two systems. How do I take on the new system as well as working on the old system? And for how long? How many years is this that this transition is taking place? Has it been done before when the 844 was coming in with the from the old system? And can it be done again? And for how many years can we do that? If these ones were able to walk through it, how can now KICD help you walk through this transition for the next 5 years, for the next 10 years? We do appreciate, and it's not good for us to silence that voice, the voice of the teachers and these concerns that are coming out, because now this is the problem. We've been implementing, it's being rolled out, and then we're like, hey, these are the challenges. And when the challenges are raised, then you want to silence that voice. You need to face it, because that's what NAT was basically doing. It was bringing up the teachers' challenges. But I, as a parent, I actually have a class 3 student, and all I know is there are no examinations. And then the parents, and they've been major stakeholders in the education system, but now they've just folded up because there's 100% transition. Whether you pass or fail, we don't know if you're passing or failing, because there's really no assessment.
How is your child's appreciation of the new system?
Loving it. The standard 3, class 3 is basically ECD. Whatever you give them, they can handle. And so it's not different. They've got nothing to compare it with.
But
this is the way.
No, I'm asking from a perspective of a parent.
Yes.
When you look at him or her, how is he coping, he or she coping with what is being offered in school?
It's a different environment. They're asking more questions. And I think that's what the new system wants to do. And that's what the whole competency is all about, where I think she mentioned that it's not just about the teacher telling, but you're being given something and then exploring it. And that, I'm thinking this is wonderful.
Nevertheless, Cynthia, as a parent, a lot of the other discussion around CBC, one of the issues that has been pricked is that it's, in terms of involving parents within the education system, we're seeing now parents having to play the role of a teacher as well. So we're seeing a lot of responsibilities that are meant to teachers being reflected back on parents. Is that the case?
Yes, I'm having that. A lot of homework going on, a lot of work, and I'm just thinking of that rural woman completely, where she's got the chores to handle, and then now to get involved in schoolwork.
So as a parent, where do you stand having that sort of involvement to that extent?
I'll need to go into more parents' meetings. The school needs to call more of them and to actually bring us on board, to begin to sensitize us about that. The same way the teachers need to be worked with. You need to go through this process by talking to people. These are the challenges. These are the things that she has highlighted. How do we deal with them? And then the parents are also bringing their challenges. Let's have more maybe monthly meetings for parents in the schools to bring them on board, to tell them this is what we're giving your children, this is how you're going to support them, this is how we want you to be involved. Will you manage and work with the parents to come on board with this? Because basically parents were really not involved in the education and doing homework.
All right, Cynthia. Jacqueline, before you take a break, so there are the concerns that Dr. Wandia here is raising, and of course, you cannot ignore them, because the Kenya National Union of Teachers, and we'll be looking at one of their reports, has also voiced similar sentiments. So how do you respond as KICD, and how do you help teachers in the transitional mode?
I think we are appreciating those concerns, and that is why we are undertaking training. And honestly, if I am going to do that for the teacher and we believe that the teacher will actually get on board, then I don't know why what the issue is. We are teachers ourselves. I'm a teacher myself. And I've had the privilege of actually doing teacher training, but that has allowed me to get to the level of understanding how a child in grades 1, 2, and 3, for example, would be handled. And it's a tough thing. We are dealing with these teachers because we believe that even with their experience, what we are bringing on board, they've actually been using it. As a parent, for example, a teacher will tell you this is where your child's strengths are, and you dispute, isn't it? Because you don't even know your child. Now, the reason why we are encouraging even the parental engagement is because it's critical for parents to know what is happening to their children in school. And I just want to draw us to the article on page 7, this is, I think, The Nation, where there's an opinion that we adults are to blame for the behaviors of our children, and more so the parents, because what is your role? That child is the jewel you have. As you take them to school, you have certain expectations. How is it that you have expectations of the school and the same expectations are not home? You must be the model if you expect the school to model your child as well.
But how do you make sure that you're not reflecting back the responsibilities of teachers to parents?
Every one of us has a role. As long as the child is your child, you have a role, and you're the first teacher.
Very true, but you know, when you're talking about involvement of parents, but then how do you make sure that at the end of the day, there's a grey line between what a teacher is called to do and the role of the parent within that child's life?
Okay, let me talk about the homework, which is the issue. In the current system, children are coming home and doing homework up to midnight. Parents are working with those children to do the homework and sign the diary that the homework has been done. In the new system, we are saying we're not even wanting the child to come and sit overnight. The child is coming to discuss with you what they have learned during the day. Now, parents are complaining because they are saying we are too busy. We need to be working to make the money for the children. So I'm not there to be with the child. But you see, parenting is a role that we must know. If I am not there, I can make a concession for the child. Let me take a situation where we even have the nannies that are taking care of the children. And I know that I'm not going to be in the house. Can this child have a discussion with that nanny? Because the child has to go back to school fulfilling and being able to discuss with the other children what they have done. So basically what we are telling parents is that you cannot abdicate your role. Duty or no duty, the child still needs your guidance. And if this child needs to get your guidance, you must put alternatives in place. If I am not there, then let me agree with the teacher that I will not be there to discuss with the child, but this is what we will agree the child will do. So the child knows I have recourse, so that when I come home and I have to do homework, this is the alternative I have.
Okay, all right. I want us to take a look at what Kenyans have been saying online and on SMS line 22422. You can begin with Twitter. Citizen TV Kenya, the hashtag to use is daybreak. Muchili Mani. If there are no transition exams at grade 6, how do you choose who goes, for instance, to Alliance or Mahoho?
All right, Hillary, good morning. You say CBC shouldn't be forced on Kenyans. You cannot force a system for the sake of change. Have teachers be trained. In places where children still study under trees, flooding classes, if we still import furnitures, etc., how will CBC work? The system won't work. This is not USA.
Okay. On SMS line 22422, Miano from Nyeri, 100% transition is a good idea. However, what will determine which students goes to which secondary school? So the selection process is quite informing conversation.
Exactly. Still, you don't say who you are, but you say teacher training is not enough. It's not about a specific syllabus. It's about teaching strategies. Dr. Njoya talks to teachers like me who taught to 2 Kenyan systems at Excel as well as Cambridge. All right.
Okay, talk to. Then this is, please keep in mind that there are Kenyan teachers who have gone to work in other countries. At no point were they given training when they arrived there. What happens is that you reach there and you're given a syllabus and you start teaching Kenyans. Wake up. These are some of the views coming from the viewers from wherever they're watching us. You can also join the conversation by texting in through 22422 or tweeting us at Citizen TV Kenya, Asamgituku.
At Zinze_K, use the hashtag Daybreak, leave us your name and tell us where you're watching from. We'll be right back. This conversation continues.